Welcome to this Astro Priestesses Roundtable look at the Aquarius Solar Month. I'm Kaylin here with Mar and Nura and Jaime, and we are so excited to share with you what we see coming in this month, including starting with, well, the sun goes into Aquarius on January 20th, and then we have a new moon January 21st, right behind that, right with that. So not only a new solar month, but a new moon with that. And it is the closest new moon of this rest of this century and into the next, like 2145. Literally, what that means is that the moon is closest to the earth. And the moon, when it's close to the earth, has a major impact on the magnetic field of the earth and also on the magnetic field of our individual bodies, and the plants and animals, and everything is affected by the fact that when the moon is close to the earth, it increases this energy that we're feeling from the moon. And when it's with a new moon, and it doesn't always happen exactly with a new moon or a full moon, sometimes it's a new moon, sometimes it's a full moon, sometimes it's somewhere not even close. So it's not always there. But with a new moon, we already have another energy that's happening. The sun and the moon are together. With a full moon, the sun and the moon are opposite each other, and the earth is in between them. And so the impact of a new moon, full moon, perigee new moon, full moon is always significant. It tends to increase earthquakes, weather patterns, and we've been seeing wild weather patterns. I know in Northern California, they've been having these atmospheric rivers and cyclone bomb things. I don't know exact names they're calling them, that kind of thing. We've been having lots of minor earthquakes. Today, just 3 earthquakes have already happened at magnitude of 3. So they're not like major earthquakes, but it's like the earth is starting to rumble as we're recording this. So, and it also can increase challenges that people are having, like if they're depressed or they're not feeling well or those kinds of things. It's like the moon being so close to the earth can increase that, but it also can increase feeling, healing and feeling better and coming into a greater sense of ourself and who we are. So it can, joy and kindness can be another piece of that, increasing that energy. So it's how we choose to tune into the moon being so close to the earth at a new moon. And what seeds are we planting? What do we want to be planting around that? And I'll let others talk more about what the Aquarius new moon means, but just so that you have a sense of the impact of this. And additionally, this new moon is an out of bounds moon. And we've talked about this a little bit, where the moon goes outside the boundaries of the sun. The sun can only rise and set along the horizon at, furthest north and furthest south at like 23.5 degrees. It can never go past that. But the moon at this new moon is going to be at 24 degrees and like 39 minutes. It's over a degree past where the sun can go. So it's outside the boundaries of ordinary reality, meaning we're starting the solar month outside of our everyday reality. And so amazing things can come in, and it's a time to plant seeds. And of course, in Aquarius, it's about expanding consciousness and perception and, wild card outside of ordinary reality anyway. And then you add the fact that it's an out of bounds moon and it's a perigee moon. This new moon is really crazy wild. So we'll leave that there, and other people can fill in more of the pieces around that. But also what's going to happen a couple of days after the new moon is that the moon's going to catch up to Venus and Saturn. And I know other people want to talk about this too, but the piece I want to bring in about this is that this Venus moon conjunction at the Sacral Chakra, where we reclaim the ability to experience pleasure as medicine, and that we are learning how to come back into our bodies in a pleasurable way. Also, that pleasure is not a sin. Pleasure is our birthright. So we're wanting to change and shift that piece as well. And it's happening with Saturn, who can help create a new way of doing pleasure or being in pleasure or experiencing pleasure, however we want to do that, however we want to intend that. piece at the sacral chakra, which will last for a month, this whole solar month, pretty much the whole solar month of Aquarius. Then the other piece of it is I want to bring in is that that Saturn has been hanging out with this star. It's a star called Deneb Algeti. It's in the constellation of the Goatfish or the sea goat. Different people call it different things. And but it's at like the late degrees of Aquarius, around 23, 24, 25 Aquarius. The star is actually, I think, at 23 degrees Aquarius. So what we can see from this is that the Goatfish, also known by astronomers as Capricornus, or astrologers think it's Capricorn, but it's not, the sign Capricorn. It is the season of Aquarius that overlays this constellation right now. And so that is representative of a evolution of our understanding of the Aquarius mysteries being informed by this constellation. And that lasts for 2,160 years. And we've been in it for a while because it's already at 23 degrees. And if you think about this moving 1 degree every 72 years, it's been there for quite a while. So this star is the tail of the Goatfish. And the Goatfish, the story in Greek myth is that the gods are trying to get away from the Titan, like the monster Titans, whatever. And one is catching up to one of the gods. And sometimes the story is told it's Pan, and sometimes the story is told it's Zeus or some other god. And to get away, they turn themselves into goat and they're running, and then they decide to jump into the water and swim away. So they're turning themselves into a fish, but the change only sort of partway takes place. So it becomes a goat fish or a sea goat. That's where that comes from. And it really represents the elements of water and earth. So the goat runs on the earth and the fish is in the water. So that it's like, how do we bringing these two elements together? And this is the tail. So it's probably more of the fish part of the goat fish that's there. But it's one of the magical stars of the ancient alchemists. It's called a Bohemian star. And these are the stars that the ancient alchemists worked with when planets were within 6 degrees. So now we're going to have Venus, Moon, and Saturn all within really close proximity of this star. So it's a perfect time to go out into the evening sky to see if you can even see, I don't know if you can see the whole Goatfish constellation or not, but to connect with this star and ask it for insight and inspiration. And the thing about it is that this star is also connected to finances. It's recommended that if you want to track the stock market, tune into this star and see how it can help support you. And if we think about the sacral chakra, it's sometimes called the sex and money chakra. And so it's about finances, money is life force energy. When money flows to us, we've got our life force energy is probably pretty clean and clear and current, water energy. And so the opportunity that we have now is to really look at how are we tuning into abundance, into fortune, into money itself, because money is not good or bad. Money is what we make it. And it's the energy we use. So we can see how people have used money to control, manipulate, dominate, and do evil, bad things to the earth and to other people. So it can be used for bad things, but it's not money that's the problem. It's the people that are working with the money that is the problem. So how can we bring our consciousness and awareness to infuse money with love, to infuse money with life force energy that will help support all of life? And we have such a brilliant time because it'll be 30 years before Saturn's back with the star. It'll be 8 more years before Venus and the moon come back to this gate near this star. So this is a rare opportunity for us to really do that, to really bring this energy in and to tune into what's being transmitted. The moon is a transmitter. It transmits from wherever it is. So it's transmitting from Venus, it's transmitting from Saturn, and it's transmitting from this star Deneb Algeti. And the Deneb Algeti, a couple of things: wisdom, integrity, upholding justice, balanced and fair and fortunate. So these are the opportunities we have to work with at this time. And I'm going to just turn this over to other people to bring in the rest of what's happening this month, because there's a lot. So I'm handing this off to Mar, who's going to share with us a little bit more about the new moon and what she's seeing.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing. I didn't know about the star, and it's so interesting because what I wanted to talk with the new moon and the Vino cycle in general is that how it has been shown in my life is that every time that there is from one Sun-Venus conjunction to the next one, I always give birth to a baby related to my work, my sacred work, the one that is fun, the one that is connected to my purpose, and the one that is my duty, responsibility, and also my pleasure to do it. And they don't have to be a contradiction, right? So every time now we are in the root, and we've been reflecting about our experiences in life with the Mercury retrograde, that we still have it as we are recording, but then when the video is released, it will be moving forward. And Mars retrograde, it has been really also looking inside a lot and saying, I can do this, or maybe I can do that, because it's in Gemini, and it's still doing that. But I think we can feel more clarity now in which direction because we cannot give birth to all the babies at the same time. We just need to choose one and then go for it. And then we can choose another one in another time. And the creative babies are very important in that sense. And with the Vino cycle, I always, seriously for me, in that sense, has been magical. So I will really encourage people to follow the chakras in accordance with projects that they have. So books, launching a business, all of this. And the star with money is like, it is our sacred, the work that we do is sacred. And the energy, and that's very connected with the Sacral Chakra as well, that if we feel that we are working in something that is not really aligned with who we are, there is a sense of like even prostitution, or like there is a sense of giving away our power. And now with the cycle in Capricorn with Venus is the time that if anybody is thinking about, okay, that's it, I'm done with this system, I'm going to do something my own, it is the time. And with the new moon, it's being very much like, okay, Mars retrograde, reflect, what are the options, Mercury retrograde. But with the new moon is when we find really the momentum to move forward. And especially after Venus is with Saturn. So it's really grounded, and it's really saying, okay, we were a long time in Capricorn last year in 2021 in January, and we've been in Capricorn again. Now, what have we learned? So we move towards the future in Aquarius. And then the new moon in Aquarius is also in a part of the sky that it was activated in December 2020, and with the Jupiter Saturn, and it's going to be activated again with Pluto in March. So wherever we initiate now is really moving towards March. And in March, maybe we see more power, more resources, more shadow, more fear. But then the fear is also, I love I think it's Joseph Campbell quote that says or Jung, I always get confused, but it's the cave that you fear the most is the cave that hides your treasures. I'm really paraphrasing. So that is Pluto in Aquarius, like what is our fears? There is where we need to go. And we have Jupiter in Aries helping us in sextile with this new moon. And then it's like seriously the time to be brave. And as Kajelin said, to be different, to allow ourselves that we don't need to follow a pattern If we want to make business, it doesn't have to look like anybody else. We can take the experiences, Capricorn, and then do something different. So it's like, of course, we can learn of other people's experiences, but we can still be different. It's like this magical point of the movement between Capricorn and Aquarius. And there was something else. Also, Mars is going to be trining Mercury. No, the Saturn is going to be trining. No. Well, there was something I want to say about the movement forward of really allowing ourselves to go towards that desire. And that's the highest version of Jupiter in Aries. And it's the highest version of Aries in general. It's like, it's your right to desire something. And it's your right to go for it, as far as you don't harm others. That is the shadow of Aries, that you are conquering others and then you are not respecting their boundaries. So as far as you respect everybody's boundaries and you are really just going towards something that is good, is really important that everyone goes towards that part of life that is for us. And we will have that energy with us, and also like all the planets direct, and a lot of momentum. And I feel for 2023 in general, there is this energy of the outside can be crazy with Pluto, with Saturn, Pisces. They are very transpersonal, and the key is Aries, Taurus is me, and the Jupiter and the nodes, the North Node, are doing like this with Aries and Taurus. So it's a lot about what is mine to do, what is mine to be. And with that, I will pass to Nura.
Thank you, Mar and Kaylin. Really, really special times that we're here in. I just wanted to start with one of my favorite Aquarius quotes, because we're all here in this massive awakening time, and everything is about, well, how much more free can we be? And it's by Albert Camus. And the only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. And I'm just 100% here for that. And in that way, it almost feels like that's my best way to contribute to the new earth, to what we want to create, is just me being me, free, fully. And that has its own ripple effect. So this new moon is huge. And then the very next day, Sunday, January 22nd, is another big day. So that day we have Juno conjunct Jupiter at 4 degrees Aries. So a lot of new beginnings in karmic agreements, perhaps, committed partnerships. I would also say this is a good time because Jupiter will amplify whatever is in relationship. So this amplification of, well, what are my karmic agreements, and can I update them? Is it time for a new beginning? And even if it's within the same relationship, is there a new dynamic? It doesn't necessarily have to mean the whole relationship ends, but maybe more showing up with that space. Like you were saying, Mar, like I have every right to go after what I want. And maybe I get to update my agreements where, for whatever reason, I've been maybe being codependent, because we can look at the opposite of Aries as Libra and some of that shadow there. Like, have I been holding myself back for codependent reasons from what I want? So that, I think, will be a really beautiful time to decide, well, what do I want? And are the relationships around me supporting that? And are there people that maybe I can create with, and we can just have more conversations about this, especially after having Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. Hopefully everybody's gotten a chance to kind of go more within and really listen to yourself so that you understand your own needs. And then you're a lot more able to, from that place of understanding yourself, really listen to somebody else and give them respect and space to do what they need to do on their evolutionary journey. I'm also, so on that January 22nd, same day, we have Venus joining Saturn at 24 degrees Aquarius. This is huge. The Venus gate happens just the next day, but it's all still within this ballpark of time. So we've got Venus and Saturn and Moon all coming together at this at the Sacral Chakra, which is very much around our creativity and our joy in life and the sweetness of life. And so what was really coming through for me was that Venus is our magnetism and Saturn is our structure and what we are building. And when you have them working together, maybe there might be one part of it is feeling like, oh, maybe I'm not fully attracting what I think I want. Like there's that Saturn influence. Maybe that could be an expression. But another way to look at it could be, well, maybe Saturn's just refining it. Like maybe we have these ideas, like we think we want that thing, but maybe it's not actually good for us, or maybe it's not in true alignment with our personal resonance. So Saturn really, I think when we're connecting with Saturn in the highest way, it's like a sieve or like a filter, just filtering out everything that's really not of service. And so there's a lot of ways to really magnetize to us what we want while staying in alignment, in congruence with what we're building long term. We can also think about awakening to more energy, more sustainability of our energy through how we're eating, because of, if we think about sugar, and that's an example of sweetness, there's refined sugar, and we all kind of know, like, oh, we're probably not supposed to be eating a whole bunch of refined sugar. Usually it tends to backfire on us. Like we're kind of getting that little spike, but then we're exhausted, right? Or any other stimulants. But then there's fruit, and that's natural sugar, and it's, not usually giving you such a spike. And so there's ways to still enjoy the sweetness of life, like that Venus part of things, but in a really practical, healthy way. This like pragmatic joy, this with Saturn and Venus coming together like that. And then also on the 22nd, we have Uranus stationing direct at 14 degrees Taurus. And so this, I think, will just add to, the Mercury stationing direct and the Mars direct, and then having this 88-day stretch of all forward motion planets, Uranus really inviting this accelerated forward motion, and hopefully with renewed clarity on what our values are, and maybe personal power, because of course, when we're working with a retrograde planet, we're working with the opposite sign, especially sort of that internal reflection on our shadow, with Scorpio being opposing Taurus. So it's kind of, how have we been balancing this, even with the North and South nodes? So have we been able to go inside, understand our personal power? How does that relate to our ability to make healthy changes or form healthy habits? And really, I think it's just an opportunity to be consistently, that's like the Taurus part of this, consistent, taking these steps forward, consistently awakening to our quantum leaps by being so aligned with our values and kind of making it more simple. That's a really big focus, I think, for this year, especially if we go to some of the shadow of Aquarius. It can be being scattered or feeling overwhelmed. Our nervous system can feel fried because we're, connecting to all this different information. But if we just simplify and kind of come in to what is actually of highest value, then we can take that energy, that electricity, and really take it very far without frying ourselves. So that feels very much like an opportunity. So this is all happening. We haven't even gone like 2 days into the season yet. So Aquarius season is starting off with a bang. And then if we move forward a little bit in time, Venus enters Pisces. This is her sign of exaltation. And she'll still be in that new phase to Saturn in Aquarius. And so there will be a lot of, what is the new way that I want to approach my magnetism now that I'm maybe a little bit more clear on what are the structures that are really important to me to maintain or to use or to abandon? Like we're just changing our relationship with structure in general. But Venus in Pisces is very much about flow. How can we get into the flow state? In that energy of creation and art and poetry and music and dancing, all of this can be a pathway to really building a brighter future. This sense of playfulness and getting in that high vibration. We were talking before we recorded this about laughter yoga and just being in the energy of amusement and letting that really guide us through healing. It can really help us to heal and clear any stuck emotions, particularly anything that's stuck in the body. And so maybe just, moving really creatively and allowing yourself all of the big feelings. And I also feel that Venus in Pisces will kind of help round out the Aquarius that can be very in our heads about things. So this is very high vision this month ahead. I also find what Mercury is doing this month to be really interesting, especially after the retrograde. So January 22nd, he forms the trine with the North Node. So the Capricorn Taurus trine. So hopefully right now, basically you're in this place of doing all of the evaluations and taking inventory, taking stock. Like, what do you have working for you? What do you want to change? It's like, I grab my pen, I feel very official. Like there's this very official energy, like just what do I have going on from a very practical space? And that will shift to a square later on once Mercury enters Aquarius. So it's almost like we get to use this Mercury North Node trine time to reflect and kind of lay down the foundations according to our values. Because when Mercury hits the square into February, I don't have the exact date on that, but Mercury enters Aquarius February 11th. So it'll be later on in that month. But that square will offer a little bit more of the creative tension to actually really do something with these foundations, maybe these plans or these ideas for the future. Another interesting thing is the January 27th, we have Mercury square Chiron, which will be really interesting. So between Capricorn and Aries. And so there's a lot there to puzzle out around identity and contribution and what do I really want to do versus maybe what's expected of me. I do feel like long-term with Chiron and Aries, we're doing a lot of clearing around our instincts, trusting our instincts more. Self-trust is a huge theme, I think, just in general right now, especially with the influx of information, because we have to stay clear in our body as a filter to really know what is true. And so that feels like there might be some tension there with the Mercury square Chiron. Maybe we'll kind of see, well, whatever the information that we are engaging with, we'll maybe see it more plainly or more clearly at that time to know, like, oh, this is the thing that's maybe been causing me some subconscious tension, because Chiron can sometimes kind of work behind the scenes, work in the subconscious realms, but maybe Mercury will bring it a little bit more out into the open, and we'll be able to see, like, oh, this is the thing I've been resisting. Oh, and I can take some very clear action on that and have a new insight or a new plan or something. Mercury is also forming a trine with Uranus in Taurus, and then a sextile with Neptune in Pisces, then a quintile with Jupiter. And so this is all in the final days of January and the first few days of February. And so there's just a lot in our thoughts and our mindset. And if we just think about, kind of similarly to the moon as transmitter of what the different planets are, Mercury is kind of like the paper boy, like the emissary between them all. There's a lot of messages coming in right now. So this is a really good time to, get your own journal out and just write things down. And whether it's, just automatic writing, or maybe you want to kind of use this current Mercury Capricorn, more structured writing, like find questions. There's so many journal prompts, but just really good questions around, like, what do I really want? What do I value? And how is that coming through me right now in a way that's very integrated and balanced and aligned with my long-term vision? So maybe those are some questions. I'm sure you could all come up with some really good questions. So that is more or less what I'm feeling into for this month. And I will pass it off to Jaime.
Oh my goodness, so sorry. I was trying to look up dates on the chart and I couldn't find the Zoom screen to unmute myself. So, oh my gosh, I have loved, like, receiving all of this information, all this beautiful, not information, but beautiful wisdom that everyone's been sharing. And what I'm really kind of tuning into here is we have, and let me just I'm trying to find where I can look at dates and have the Zoom screen nearby. So on January 28th, which is going to be, following this new moon, Uranus stationing direct, we have the sun squaring the lunar nodes, and the sun is at 8 degrees of Aquarius and squaring the lunar nodes, north node at 8 degrees of Taurus and south node at 8 degrees of Scorpio. And so anytime a planet squares the lunar nodes, we're kind of at this crossroads between the past and the future. There's like choice points. There's like kind of splitting trajectories that we can go into. There's like new timelines that are opening up. And so the sun, you know, our central source of energy, the sun is how we shine. The sun is our energy. This is the sun in Aquarius is really asking us, how can we move towards that north node in Taurus? And the sun in Aquarius is asking us to shine and more of our, you know, like radical individuality. Like I always like the, you know, the Aquarius energy is like embracing our weirdness. And you know, and how can we move towards the north node and Taurus with a greater sense of freedom, of liberation, of sovereignty? So there's an opportunity where sometimes I've literally found when planets square the lunar nodes, where we often have choices that are presented in our lives. And the sun will square the lunar nodes about 2 times a year. And we're given choices, you know, I can do this, I can kind of do my old way of doing things, my old habit and pattern, meeting a situation and this old way, or there's this new way. And in Aquarius, perhaps there's a radically new way to meet the present moment, or to meet life, or to move towards our future. And we have all this direct energy starting up here. So we have a lot of new, fresh, kind of forward energy to work with. And so with the sun in Aquarius, it's like, how can we meet whatever we're being faced with, any choice points, with embracing more of our, you know, radical individuality, meeting situations in a way where we'll experience more freedom, right? Something that I've kind of like a mantra I've been working with, and we're actually not even in Aquarius season yet, but we do have Aquarian energy already, like Venus is already in Aquarius, is that, you know, like freedom is my birthright. And so I've been just playing with that energy here. And what we're moving towards the north node and Taurus. This is something, you know, Kaylin, you've so beautifully spoken about. We're moving to experiencing, you know, creating a life of more pleasure and delight. So how can we, you know, the south node in Scorpio, the things we've been releasing are some of our old programming, like shame programming and, you know, self-limiting beliefs, fears. Where have we've been clearing out like inner power distortion. So how can we free ourselves of maybe where we felt disempowered, and claiming more of our right to be free, to shine in our unique light, to march to the beat of our own drum, to maybe claim some of our quirkiness, and just to show up as radically us. And so, and also something really interesting, that the sun squaring the lunar nodes is also right around, it's the last quarter, or not the last quarter, it's the first quarter square of this, you know, lunation cycle. So, and the moon will conjunct the north node. So the moon is actually conjunct the north node still, but the exact conjunction has already happened at the exact time the sun squaring the lunar node. So the moon is there really wanting us, that first quarter square, to have some kind of break free moment, to move towards our future. And then at the time of the sun squaring the lunar nodes, the moon is with Uranus, right? That what some consider, you know, the modern ruler of Aquarius, the planet of radical individuality, awakening, freedom, liberation. So there's all of this energy that's pushing us. How can we move forward, experiencing more freedom? And, you know, and Uranus, the north node, the moon at that moment will be in Taurus. So we can really ground into our bodies, pause. If we're faced with any choice points or any decisions, really like ground, drop into your body and feel into, do I feel a sense of freedom here? How can I meet the moment in a way that's going to feel expansive, that's going to feel liberating, right? Is the way I'm meeting the moment, am I feeling constricted and contracted, or am I feeling am I feeling an inner sense of freedom and expansion? And so I see a lot of like breakthrough, break free moments here. And then we have on February 3rd, we have the Sun square Uranus at 15 degrees. And so the Sun at 15 degrees of Aquarius, Uranus at 15 degrees of Taurus. So this is really interesting because 15 degrees are the cross-quarter degrees, right? So this is in the Northern Hemisphere. This is when we're experiencing like the solar invulc. And we have Uranus at another cross-quarter degree as well. So these are essentially when we have the 15th degree of any of the fixed signs activated. These are degrees of really high magic that we can really access high magic. And to me, Sun square Uranus is this really powerful break free kind of breakthrough opportunity, an opportunity to take a quantum leap forward. And again, it's like through the sun, how we shine, how we express our creative energy. How can we do it in a way where we'll feel more freedom? Right? Where have we maybe self-limited ourselves in the past? Where have we maybe kept ourselves small? Maybe where have we had a fear of rejection? These kinds of things. And how can we actually move forward, shining in more of our authenticity, our unique light? And there's something here that we're really grounding down and in, because Uranus is in Taurus. We're grounding in new timelines. Uranus is the planet that connects to the quantum timelines, and so does Aquarius as well. So we're really, there's all this quantum potential to move in new trajectories really, really fast. And when we're talking about things with Uranus, change can be really fast. And how I'm kind of sensing Uranus going direct, which is happening, you know, right after that Aquarius new moon. Uranus was retrograde August 24th, 2022. And then it's going direct on, you know, January, I believe January 22nd. I don't totally have the dates right. Yeah, January 22nd, 2023. And so Uranus went retrograde at 18 degrees of Taurus in August. And this is at 18 degrees is where we had the Uranus North Node conjunction at the end of July and early August. And what that was doing is it's shaking up energy. It's shaking up stagnant energy to have this breakthrough, this break free to open up to higher timelines, right? The North Node is our evolutionary path forward. And Uranus opens us up, awakens us to our highest timelines. Uranus is the higher mind, right? Cosmic intelligence. And so Uranus is opening us up to ground right Taurus, ground down and in something that is beyond what we could have previously imagined. Uranus is about innovation, expanding our mind past what we could have previously imagined. And so something new was kind of being shaken up, and there was new energy starting to flow in, you know, with that Uranus North Node conjunction. But then Uranus went retrograde, right? Which was informing me we need to clear out some things on an inner level, have like this awakening on an inner level so we can really, really ground and receive. Taurus is about receiving, right? So we can receive these new opportunities into our bodies. Venus being the ruler of Taurus, it's about how do we attract in these new timelines? These new timelines are here and available to us, but can we actually receive them in, right? And so what on an inner level needs to be cleared out so we can like awaken more of our sacred body wisdom to receive these higher timelines in. And Uranus is actually kind of following the North Node back. There's, you know, there's a little bit of an orb now, but they're still widely conjunct. And so now when I see Uranus finally moving forward, it's like whatever maybe started to like rearrange for us on that quantum level with that Uranus North Node conjunction, I see over this next time while Uranus is direct, where we're going to start like grounding this in. The new opportunities may be like here in our physical reality. So there's a lot of exciting, you know, these like big breakthrough moments. And I see opportunities to take quantum leaps. And Uranus is in Taurus. So it's like, really, can we just receive what's here? There's infinite possibilities available to us in every moment. We often just don't realize all the possibility and all the potential that's here. because we have very conditioned ways of thinking. Mercury retrograde just opened us up to new ways of perceiving. This Mars in retrograde in Gemini, Mars being direct now, is also connecting us to there's new possibilities, there's new ways of going forth in the world. And so then this leads us to the Leo full moon that we have on February 5th. And this is at 16 degrees, moon at 16 degrees of Leo, sun at 16 degrees of Aquarius. And so they're still squaring Uranus at 15 degrees of Taurus. So again, I just see all of this big breakthrough, break free energy. And with this Leo new moon, you know, the moon shining in Leo, Leo is the sign that asks us to shine our light big and bright. So, you know, the Leo is kind of the sun sign, right? And so Leo is like claiming our divine light to be here and to take up space and to be these like magical, creative beings. You know, Leo is that like magical child energy. It's the sign of joy, and it's like creative self-expression of the heart. The Leo Aquarius axis is very much about individuality, right? Leo is how do we shine our light big and bright? How do we not tone down our light for anyone else? But also, how can we also, you know, high vibrational Leo is giving everybody else space as well to shine their light big and bright, and to celebrate everyone else shining their light big and bright as well. Like more shadow Leo is like, I need to shine the brightest. But the, you know, higher vibrational Leo is there's space for all of us to shine. And so we're being asked to really bring out our light more, bring out our uniqueness more. And there's this big, you know, break free opportunity with this full moon square to Taurus. That's like the more we're in our joy, the more we're creating from our heart, right? Living from our heart, laughing, playing, right? This is where this, you know, quantum timelines are going to open up from. So yeah, I think I feel complete here.
Woohoo! Oh my gosh, that is so good. Thank you, everybody. I just love all the perspectives, and here we are again, bringing you these insights, hopefully that will help support you in this solar month of Aquarius. With I love this idea of breakthrough, break free, breaking down. Sometimes I've heard it break down to breakthrough, but sometimes we need to do that too. But really the idea of being free. I want to be free to be me. Yes. So thank you. We hope you join us for our next video coming up for the Pisces Solar Month. Thank you, everybody.